I'm often asked, how should we respond to people who insist on being referred to with pronouns that don't correspond to their God-given sexual identity? In this video, I'll share some thoughts. We're continuing our series looking at questions in my book, Good News About Sex and Marriage, answers to your honest questions about Catholic teaching. If you want to follow along, check out the link below to get a copy for yourself. If you are following, we're on page 176. I begin my answer to this question with a quote from Pope Francis. He observed that it is one thing to be understanding of human weakness and the complexities of life. And as an aside, I say, those who prefer pronouns that don't correspond to their God-given sexual identity are indeed caught in a painful web of complex difficulties that call for our patience and our understanding. Of course. However, as Pope Francis says, it's another thing, he continued, to accept ideologies that attempt to sunder what are inseparable aspects of reality. Those who are demanding that we refer to them with pronouns that do not correspond to their God-given identity are indeed embracing ideologies that sunder or separate, rupture their true identity from their bodies. And not only are they embracing these ideologies, they are demanding tyrannically, even with the full force of law, that other people embrace these ideologies as well. And if we are to be faithful to the truth, faithful to reality, faithful to who God is and who we are and how we are to live and what our ultimate destiny is and how to get there, we cannot embrace these ideologies. Now, what does that mean, pastorally speaking, in given situations when someone is clearly not a male, for example, but is demanding that we recognize her as a him? How do we handle this? As I say here, as a general rule, I think maintaining the use of pronouns that refer to a person's God-given bodily identity is the way to go. That's the general rule. And that said, we are called, as St. Paul says, to bear with one another. Check out Ephesians 4:2 and Colossians 3:13. And I have encountered situations, maybe you have too, in which a patient endurance of someone's error, which is not the same thing as the embracing of that person's error, is the appropriate approach, it would seem to me. I have in mind here a Christian minister I know who cared for the destitute and the homeless. It was obvious when a certain person came to his center for help that he was a male presenting himself as a female. When he signed in with a female name, my friend did not press him for his real name. That would not have been appropriate to their relationship at the time. But as he got to know him over time, he learned some of his story. He learned his male name. And over time, as their relationship grew, he invited him into a reflection on who he really was. And over time, he did eventually use his male name and male pronouns. And the person said to him months later, this was a long-term relationship. He said, your willingness to bear with me when we first met, and your willingness over time to challenge me in a loving way, both of them, he said, were very instrumental in my life in helping me to reflect more deeply on who I really am and who God created me to be. So in summary, I say, receiving people in a given pastoral moment may mean accepting the use of names and pronouns that don't correspond to their God-given identity. However, we cannot pretend that the journey into deepening self-honesty ends there. We're all in need of rediscovering ever more deeply who we really are before the God who made us. And we are all in need of others bearing patiently with us in our errors. But we are also all in need of others who love us enough to challenge us in our errors, to recognize the truth that sets us free, to be who we really are. I have so much more to share with you, my brothers and sisters, about this truth that sets us free to be who we really are. Check out the links below to learn more. And until next time, may our eyes be ever more opened to the glory of God revealed through our bodies.